Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Just Talking. Sorry, coffee went down the wrong pipe. I am going to redo my previous video where I talked to you about my fan lore. And again, I'm sorry that I sounded really groggy in that video. And it was mainly because I was having allergy issues. But I took some of my medication, and now I'm feeling 10 times better. This is actually a really interesting dungeon to go through. I'll save it for a later date, because again, don't got a lot of time, and I don't want you guys looking at loading screens while I'm just trying to give you information. I have no idea why my game is going all war wacky on me. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, we were talking about my fan lore for the Lone Minuteman Ranger series. More specifically, how the Minuteman Rangers got started. And as one of my favorite Fallout themed shows hosts say, from Storyteller from Shoddy Cass, to understand the story, we gotta go back to the beginning. Fort Hagen. I know I said no loading screens, but that was until I realized that I really wanted to set the mood for what I'm about to tell you. That way it's an easier flow and you can get a visual of what I'm talking about. Anyway, the story of the Fallout Minuteman Rangers. This is a completely fan-based lore. It is not canon in the current Fallout universe, but then again, Fallout 4 is fairly new. The Minutemen are fairly new to the Fallout lore universe. So, who knows? Maybe Bethesda will make this canon. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Anyway, our story begins here at Fort Hagen, Commonwealth, Massachusetts. A colonel by the name of Gabbett, as well as the Minutemen general, were sieged at this place by Institute forces during the Institute Wars. Now, in my version of the Fallout 4 lore, the Institute War lasted years. Instead of just, you know, going to the castle, having that big row with the Institute, if you did the Minutemen playthrough, which is what I usually do, especially for the Fallout Minuteman Ranger series. I'm setting it up as the lone survivor doesn't really do that much, and we don't go immediately to the Institute after the battle for the castle against the Institute. I just said Institute 3 times. Anyway, it's here in these ruins where 108 Minutemen stand their ground against over 2,000 Institute Synths and Coursers. The Coursers, as we all know, according to the lore, are like the elite of the elite combat experienced weapons of mass destruction, basically. And these Minutemen, as well as the General and Colonel Cabot, stood their ground against the Coursers, and eventually did win after several days of fighting. This is where the main battle occurred. And I probably won't show you this in the actual machinima I'm making, but maybe that will change. I don't know. That'll probably be for a later season. And during this battle, only 20 of the 200 Minutemen survived. Out of that 20, not counting Colonel Cabot and not counting the general. The general and
analysis neutralization operation.
Sorry about that. The general and Colonel Cabot realized that the Enforcers were going to be a major threat. And in order to combat that threat, they needed to create a super soldier. Now, I'm not going to go all Captain America, super mutant serum bull stuff, and I'm not going to go like one-man wrecking crew. And again, this is a fan lore that the lone survivor is not completely and utterly involved and is not as crazy badass as we make him in the video game. During this time, the Minutemen were salvaging what they could from Fort Hagen, and they find the quartermaster's office in the main building over here where we fight Kellogg and several synths. And unfortunately we don't get any other missions here. At least I never got any other missions here. If you guys have a different experience, please let me know. Where you had a Minuteman quest or a railroad quest or even an institute quest, please let me know, because I actually enjoyed crawling through that dungeon because it was arguably the best dungeon in the base game. Anyway, they find a crate, several crates in fact, filled with Special Forces uniforms, especially, and I think you noticed this in the Lone Minutemen Ranger series, Green Berets. Now, this hits home for me a little bit. My cousin is a Green Beret. I spent most of my life wanting to be a Green Beret, but because of my health issues and because of several other problems, I was not able to enlist in the military, and I was not able to join the Green Berets. Because again, I'm asthmatic, and I have various other health issues. And when I did talk to somebody about joining the military, they told me that I couldn't because of those issues. Anyway, back to my lore. They see these, the sole survivor, who you know is the general, he's just not as badass as we make him in the video game, has a flashback to when he was in the military. Now, like I said in the last video, I chose the Lone Survivor, the male version of the Lone Survivor, just because he made more sense. He had military training, he had the discipline, he had the ability to live off the land. And I'd like to think that, being as he was so easily made into a badass, and excuse the language in this video, I want to keep it clean, but this is the best way I could express this by sounding a little different. And I imagine that he was probably a Green Beret. And he was able to adapt well to the new environment around him because of his Green Berets training, because of his Special Forces training. That's the minefield. I'm not going that way. And he was able to adjust easier to this environment than his wife would have done, because his wife was first and foremost a lawyer. Let's see if I can.
Don't move. It's all right.
Yeah, there you go, Yogi. There you go, Yogi. I don't like killing the bear. I like bears. I don't like killing bears unless they're trying to kill me. Self-defense! And, Yeah, like I said, I have none of the DLC, so that whole Raider camp that comes with the Mechanist DLC is not here. Anyway, he decides that in order for them to fight the Institute, and in order for them to combat the Coursers, especially the Coursers, the Green Berets must rise again. So they take the Green Beret uniforms and set up an FOB, and you'll see where the FOB is. It's called FOB Ivan, and for those of you who are not familiar with military slang, FOB is Forward Operating Base. So now you know what an FOB is, and it'll become the primary training ground for the Minuteman Rangers for the rest of the Institute War on into the War of Brotherhood and the Nuka War and the conflict in Far Harbor, which I want to get to later in the video. I don't want to explain too much because I want you guys to watch the machinima. And I've already told you there's no voice acting and there's no nothing. It's just pure action in some cases, and in some episodes they'll be just interacting with the various different companions you already have. And if I get used to this, if I get used to the PC version, I'll probably expedite that series to the PC version. But then again, the uniform mod I use for the Minuteman Ranger that has the Green Berets doesn't work on my PC for whatever reason. I honestly think it's just my PC is glitchy, but I'm going to test it again and see if it works, because again I did some adjustments to my PC and it might work now. But if you guys know of another mod that at least gives me the SOG Green Berets, I would be very much appreciated if you let me know in the comments. But it has to be a Fallout 4 mod. It can't be a New Vegas mod because I don't have New Vegas on my PC yet. I'm planning on getting it, it's just I have other priorities right now. Over the years, using those operations manuals that you find all over the Commonwealth, there was a stockpile of those as well. The General and Colonel Cabot formed their very own special group called the Minuteman Rangers. Sorry, not the Lone Minuteman Rangers, but the Minuteman Rangers. And during the Institute War, which is something you won't see in the actual machinima, this is actually back lore that you are not going to see in the machinima. They were actually the reason the Minutemen were able to defeat the Institute. They were on the forefront battling the Coursers. And they were really good at their job. So good, in fact, that they managed to infiltrate the Institute through the drainage system, through the water cooling system that they have there, that Sturgis tells you about. And they battle, and they are the ones that destroy the reactor, which destroys the Institute. But here's where my lore jumps away from that, is they took the time to ensure that all the civilians, all the scientists, all the Sims were able to escape the Institute while still battling various different combat Sims, like the Chrome Dome Sims, if you're using railroad lingo, and the Coursers. They're battling the Coursers while making sure that the Institute scientists make it out. That goes back to sort of the selflessness of military service. And during this time, the Minutemen go through several different reformations. You have where you have to build in the whole game itself, you have to rebuild the Minutemen from the ground up. Well, in my lore, in my game, where I have on my Xbox a lot of different mods for the Minutemen to make them more powerful, make them more effective in combat, and more effective in more of a presence in the Commonwealth. You'll see that in my playthroughs on Xbox without my groggy, almost Midwestern accent coming through the mic. You'll see that I divide up my Minutemen into several different branches. Now, the Minutemen Rangers make up one entire branch of the Minutemen military. Then you got the Minutemen Regulars, which is the Minutemen Regular Army, and you'll see those guys in blue uniforms. If you guys know the mod that I'm using to get those blue uniforms, please help me give those mod authors a shout out. I'll probably give them a shout out in this Just Talking episode, but right now I don't have access to my Fallout 4 game on Xbox because I'm trying to make these videos for you, and I'm trying to keep on my schoolwork and trying to get that out of the way. That way I finish the semester strong. And then there is the artillery, which makes up their own complete branch, and they're stationed in almost every single settlement to get a good blanketing effect of the entire area around the Commonwealth. And then we have the militia or armed citizenry, which are just farmers. You know, they act quicker. They're basically like our reality's version of the National Guard. And you'll see those guys just wandering around in various different farmers' uniforms, especially during a big battle. They operate sort of quicker than most other Minutemen branches. But the regular Minuteman Army, the Minutemen Rangers, and the Minutemen Artillery handle the bigger problems, like the Institute, like the Brotherhood of Steel, like the Nuclear Raiders, like the various other entities that wish to enslave the Commonwealth. I think I've explored Fort Hagen to its variability, so since I'm already done talking about that part of the lore, I'm just going to leave, okay? And I just think that makes the Minutemen more immersive, makes them more realistic, and makes it better for me in the long run. There was another way out here that led to that trailer park I wanted to go check out. Sorry guys. Oh, here it is. If it was a snake, it would have bit me, you know? Anyway, the Minutemen Rangers, this is a short history, a short fan lore history, were so effective at their job and it becomes such a staple of the Minuteman military that they became sort of like Commonwealth heroes. We're finding stuff to kill here. If I remember correctly, there's a bunch of wolves in this particular location, so keep your eyes open. Wow, look at that. And Colonel Cavan was worried that the general would disband the Minutemen. But instead of disbanding them, the general decided to reform them keep them as the Special Forces unit that they've been so effective being in the Institute War, and later on the war with the Brotherhood of Steel, which I'm not going to get into because that goes into the actual lore of the game, and I want to avoid some spoilers, even though it's been several years since this game has been out. Come on, guys. You've had this long to play it. If you haven't played it by now, just don't even click on videos about it. Avoid spoilers if you're one of those guys that, you know, can't stand having spoilers. Okay? Oh, I wanted to kill all those freaks. He died. I have a feeling that this could have been used as like a settlement. I think it's supposed to be used as a settlement. It's probably one of those throwaway things that video game developers do because they're on a deadline. I am not going to salvage armor pieces because I already have enough legendary armor pieces in my inventory. Look at those flamingos, they're kissing. Anyway, the Minutemen have proven their worth, and it's at this point where they start hand selecting various different objects. And by this time, the 20 Minutemen who survived the Battle of Fort Hagen are the first Minutemen Rangers, and they become the trainers and leaders of the next generation of Minutemen Rangers. 10 years after the Institute Wars, we have the Nuka Wars. The events of Nuka World happened. And during that war, for the most part, the Minutemen Rangers were the ones leading the charge in the fight. They were fighting the Nuka Raiders. They were scouting out the position. It was very similar to what happened with the NCR and Caesar's Legion, but just a little different. By the time the final push was able to commence, Minutemen Rangers...
It's okay, Big Bear.
Oh, that one didn't work. That didn't work that time. I don't like it, but he gave me no choice. I think it's because he fought these guys. He was a pretty bad kid to tango with. Anyway, I gotta stop saying that. Anyway, the Minutemen Rangers had already assassinated most of the Nuka Raider leaders and had already weakened them to a point where the regular Minutemen army and artillery can push in and just destroy what's left of the Nuka Raiders. And thus the Nuka War was really over within a matter of 2 or 3 years. It's during this war we see Ben Ward become a Minuteman Ranger because, as I stated in the last video, he was a Minuteman regular army, and he's a veteran of the Nuka War. He was actually handpicked by Colonel Cabot, who recommended him to the general for his gallant actions during the Nuka War. His entire platoon was cut off from the rest of the invasion force and was under attack on all sides by the operators, which are arguably, in my mind, the hardest raiders in Nuka World to defeat. They all have the same kind of guns, but in my mind, the operators were just the hardest ones to defeat, especially considering they had several different leaders. They have a command structure that's a little more sophisticated than the others. And Ben Ward, his entire platoon is basically down. His entire platoon is either wounded or dying. He single-handedly holds off every advance until eventually he just kills all the operators. Colonel Cabot and a small detachment of Minuteman Rangers went in to relieve him, thinking that they would come across a massacre. But they saw Ben Ward giving medical aid to his fellow wounded Minuteman regular army boys. And the colonel offered him a position as a Minuteman Ranger, which is really the reason he joined the Minuteman Army. But you had to be like I said, you had to be hand-picked by the general to be in the Minuteman Rangers. And you had to be nominated by a high-ranking officer in the Minuteman Rangers, which there's no other high-ranking officer in the original 20 Minutemen who became the first Minuteman Rangers, or Colonel Cabot, who were both veterans who were all veterans of the Institute Wars, as we stated before, and who were veterans of the final battle of the Institute Wars. And Colonel Cabot nominates him to the general, and the general says, well, he has to prove himself. During this time, they were still fighting remnants of the Brotherhood of Steel. They're still battling with the Brotherhood of Steel. They're still dealing with them. And he says, there are 3 rogue paladins hiding somewhere in Nuka World. Your mission is to find them and take them out. And as we all know, paladins really never go anywhere without their power armor, unless you're paladin. And the paladin dance is any indicator, and any other paladin from any other game is any indicator. They're always wearing power armor. They're the elite of the elite, and they are the best of the best. I know I'm overstating that like a lot. You know the memes now in these videos. I overstate a lot of things just to make sure we're covering everything. And anywho, he has to fight 3 of these guys by himself, having none of the training provided to the regular Minuteman Rangers. And it's quite similar to the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 1 sending the Vault Dweller to Dayglow, because they don't expect him to come back. Because we all know paladins are a hard nut to crack. But armed with just a service rifle and a hunting knife, he manages to kill all 3 paladins. That action alone gets him immediate, another picnic kill, yep. That action alone gets him expedited to FOB Ivan, where he receives his training to be in the Minuteman Rangers. And then we go into the actual machinima, and I told you that I'm not going to go into that. He actually gets promoted all the way because he killed those Minutemen paladins. Once he becomes a full-blown ranger with his green beret and his Minuteman Ranger patch, and takes his oath, he gets promoted immediately to the rank of sergeant, and now he can go on his own solo missions because he killed 3 paladins almost single-handedly. In lack of better terms, Ben Ward's a bit of a badass. Fast forward, and to give you a little more perspective on how the ranking system for the Minuteman Rangers happens, to explain why, in fact, because he killed these 3 paladins, did he get an automatic promotion to sergeant when he finished boot camp and got his ranger's patch and his green beret. During the war with the Institute, Minuteman Rangers were promoted by body count.
Huh?
You got, but it wasn't like for every Chrome Dome synth you get promoted like a rank above, or every just random field scribe or initiate you got promoted a rank above. It was for every paladin kill you got promoted.
Feral ghouls like to
And you
hide
got
in the
promoted
dark.
based on
Makes
how
night
many
patrol
paladin
real
kills you had. And that was the course of your entire career. And you also got promoted on how many courser kills you had. Now, this was by yourself. This was not with a group. This was not like tag teaming it. If you could kill a paladin, Brotherhood of Steel paladin, the elite of the elite, and if you could kill a courser, the Institute's elite of the elite, the advanced killing machine, and oh, there's the mannequin again. And here we are in my normal place. Yeah. I should start, getting a place here. Maybe a little loft or something. Use one of my cinema building mods. Okay, I'm off track again. The Minuteman Rangers designed it that way so they can recognize the work of their toughest. If you could defeat like 3 coursers or 3 paladins and come back on top by yourself, you were a designated Chuck Norris-like figure, and you deserved a promotion. You deserve to be recognized for the fact that you were able to do that. Because again, these paladins, these coursers are a tough nut to crack. And that's how they promoted during the Incident Wars. That's actually how they promoted. Your promotions were dealt on difficulty. Now, as we get into the Nuke Wars, where there's not that many complicated enemies, the ranking system becomes pretty standardized and pretty similar to the ranking system given to Minutemen regular army soldiers, because there's just not enough there's no paladins left. And I'm going to take that. I know I said no more hoarding legendary items, but weapons are a different story. Okay, and it changes again. The Minutemen Rangers change to fit the environment. Now let's get into the Nuke, not the Nuke, what we just talked about. It's in Far Harbor. Now in my machinima in the in-game,
Probably right. You gotta cut down.
hello. How'd I do? Yeah, I know, I did great. Ooh, stimpaks. Loot. Oh, this guy only has like worthless ammo that I don't even need. I use 50 caliber weapon, baby! Yeah, this is a mercy killing. During the incident with the Far Harbor, you get a little more complicated. Far Harbor, by my opinion, is the best DLC because it's a little more complicated, it's a little more interesting than Nuke World, and although I do like the Vault Tech Workshop DLC and the Wasteland DLC, they don't give you like a whole mission, well, except for Vault Tech DLC. For the Vault Tech Workshop DLC, it does give you a whole mission. It basically, Far Harbor's my ultimate favorite. If anyone else here is a Far Harbor fan, hands up. Because of all the complicated issues, I mean, it's not as simple as side with one people and you get like so many perks or you become an enemy of this people. That is a feature on that, but it's not the only like cause. If you side with the Children of Adam, you're basically siding with an institution that wants to kill off the last remaining remnants of the locals that are the original locals of Far Harbor, that are the descendants of original Far Harbor residents. Ooh, I've never been up here before. This is cool. It's nice. Ooh, there's a whole little thing here. Oh my god, this is not even in my Xbox version of this game. I guess PC Master Race does rule the world. I can't even get on the rooftops in my Xbox game, believe me. I tried. Yeah, I can't go that way, so I'm going to jump and lose health, but it's okay. Just lost a little bit there. And it's going to be the greatest challenge for the Minuteman Rangers, and as we go through the Machinima, Lone Minuteman Ranger, we will see the repercussions of the conflict in Far Harbor. The Minuteman Rangers are pretty much, their hands are tied. They were designed to be a combat unit, a covert combat unit, a force to be reckoned with. But now they have to play the role of keeping the Far Harbor residents and the Children of Adam from killing each other, and try to figure out a way to make it work for both sides. It's very similar to what I think, from what I understand from Vietnam, only we were fighting communists in that war. And in this particular police action, we're
gonna be a good fight.
having to keep people from turning each other on, and at the same time reestablish civilization in the fog. Those of you who play Far Harbor, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, Ben Moore, he does several tours in Far Harbor before he finally just gets stationed at the castle. So he becomes basically an heir for the general. Far Harbor really starts to disillusion. He's wondering why the Minutemen are there. He's wondering why they're trapped in this virtual, this never-ending war in Far Harbor, and he wonders why we're trying to deal with that issue and not trying to keep the Commonwealth safe. He doesn't see how being in Far Harbor is keeping the Commonwealth safe. He's struggling with, on one hand, he's a patriotic Minuteman Ranger. On the other hand, he's a guy who's just not being disillusioned, and he feels like the purpose for us being in Far Harbor not right. He feels like the Minutemen are starting to get very pushy, very expansive, and he feels like the issues in Far Harbor are just that, the issues in Far Harbor. They affect very little the lives of people in the Commonwealth. Now, I'm going to dive deeper in that in other episodes. Right now, this episode is almost an hour long. I didn't realize that. And I think I've done a pretty good job in explaining what the Minuteman Ranger, what my backfloor, the Minuteman Ranger. If you guys want me to go into further detail, please don't, because I don't have any more further detail to give you. But I could totally just come up with something on the fly. It might sound weird and awkward, but I could totally just start talking to you guys about that. If you guys want to hear more about Ben Ward and the Minuteman Ranger, the Lone Minuteman Ranger story, please stay tuned to this channel. Watch the Machinima. There is a playlist on the channel called Lone Minuteman Ranger. I think it's called Season 1. Again, there's no voice acting. All the dialogue in the show is going to be in-game dialogue. It's going to be really, really chunky because there's no video editing either. It's basically just gameplay. It's mostly action, a little bit of story, and in the descriptions of every video I put down what is going on in the video and what you should be... Oh, look at this, look at this. It's a total robot battle. Who wins, who wins, who wins? What the hell? Oh, you're a gunner, Mr.
Thanks to your local law enforcement authorities.
Okay, he's never hostile, so I'm going to leave him alone. There was one time when he came hostile to me, and I'm not going to leave him alone. I hate killing him because he's actually a pretty interesting little robot. I'll attack him so he can be like a temporary companion. He's an awesome companion to have. I'm just going to keep walking this way, and guys, as always, I'm your host, Richard Garner. I hope you like, share, and subscribe to this video. please give me a comment or something. That way I know what you want me to talk about in the next video. Other than that, you'll probably just hear me talk. We're at the 40-minute mark, and I hope to see you all next time. And please be safe. Coronavirus is still out there. And it's rare when I don't talk about them. About the coronavirus. So this is a nice breath of fresh air that I was able to do 2 videos on my Fallout lore. Even though one of those videos was terrible. And as always, I'm your host, Richard Garner. Thanks for watching. And now I gotta figure out a way why this is not clicking off. There we go, there we go, there we go. Nope. Yep.